Me, Wajid Nasim Jatoi, I am doing my PhD as well as I am Associate Research Officer in Agroclimatology Laboratory, Department of Agronomy, University of Agriculture, Faisalabad. So, the title of my presentation is Modeling the Effect of Climate Change on Yield and Yield Components in Different Wheat Cultivars under Different Agroecological Conditions of Punjab, Pakistan. So, next please. These are the outlines of my presentation. First of all, climate change, its trends in arid and semi-arid regions, climate and crop production, impact of climate change on food production, model its introduction and potential uses, Pakistan's resource base, wheat and its introduction, objective of my research, material and methods, and finally the results. Next please. First of all, according to World Economic Forum, climate change is the greatest challenge facing the world at the beginning of the century. Next. General conclusions includes according to the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change 2007, the climate change is the warming of climate system is unequivocal or unambiguous as is now evident from the observation of increase in global average air and ocean temperatures, widespread melting and snow and ice of rising global average sea level. Next please. Changing climate scenarios includes the increasing concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere according to the year-wise pre-industrial revolutions from 1789. There was concentration of CO2 about 280 ppm. Now at present level there is concentration of CO2 380 ppm, while expected level of CO2 concentration up to 2050 would rise up to 550 ppm. Rising surface temperature includes the global average temperature rise up to 20th century. It was 0.6 degrees centigrade increase, while the projection up to 21st century it would rise up to 1.4 to 5.8 degrees centigrade. And same the changing in rainfall patterns according to the report from IPCC and Pakistan Meteorological Department. Next please. Projections of IPCC for South Asia includes the increase in surface temperature would contribute to some snow melt resulting in risk of floods. Indus River inflows will decrease by 27% by year of 2050. Land degradation will cause land to shrink from present 0.8 hectare per capita to 0.3 by the year of 2010. Areas in mid and high latitudes will experience increase in crop yield, whereas in lower latitudes will experience a general decrease under the elevated CO2 concentration according to the report of IPCC. Next please. In semi-arid areas, a lot of work has been done on crop growth models that are discussed yesterday by Dr. Muhammad Aslam. So a lot of work is being done at the Agroclimatology Lab, University of Agriculture, Faisalabad. Dr. Ishfaq Ahmad Chattha is the head or group leader of that lab, of our group, and we are working on crop growth models. So the results from last 10 years, we conclude that crop model shows that increase in temperature of 0.9 degrees centigrade and 1.8 degrees centigrade result in reduction in length of wheat growing season by 4 and 8 days respectively. At 0.9 degrees centigrade, increase in temperature, wheat grain yield increased by 2.5, whereas at 1.8 degrees centigrade, increase in the grain yield decreased by 4%. The increase in temperature would reduce the productivity of rice crop due to heat stress and reduction in growing season length. Next please. In arid areas, crop growth models shows the study a non-significant trend in wheat yields under increased temperature scenarios right from 0.9 degrees centigrade to 1.8 degrees centigrade. Wheat straw yield were reduced by 7% and 12% with the temperature increase in 0.9 degrees centigrade to 1 at the year up to 2020 and 1.8 degrees centigrade by 2050 respectively. Next please. This is the graph that shows the level of greenhouse gases emissions and concentration in the atmosphere. The average global temperature will rise up between 1.4 degrees centigrade and 5.8 degrees centigrade over the 21st century. This graph is the variation of Earth's surface temperature from year 1000 to 21st century. At the end of right from 2000 to year 21st century, there is sudden increase in CO2 and greenhouse gases. Next please. Climate and crop production. Weather and climates are the key factors in wheat productivity. Being open to vagaries of nature, food production are highly vulnerable to climate change phenomena. Next is the climate related parameters of agricultural productivity. Includes CO2 concentration, CO2 temperature, solar radiation, precipitation, and while others include wind speed, its direction, soil moisture, water vapors, etc. The basic understanding of these factors helps manipulate plant to meet human needs for food, fiber, and shelter. The parameters also help understand impacts of climate change and diverse adaptation, its mitigation strategies. Next. Impacts on food production. Shift and special crop boundaries will have enormous economic and social impact. Right, for example, rice transplantation, cotton picking, and etc. There would be increase or decrease in crop yields, rise in evapotranspiration rates that would affect on water use efficiency, shift in timing of developmental stages of pests in crop, weed, pest relationship, and many more. While I want to introduce models or crop growth models that we are using as mentioned by Dr. Muhammad Islam yesterday in his talk. So I want to give you the idea about models, what are its type. Next please. The model from agricultural point of view, the model is the process of schematic representation of real crop, while modeling is the practice to get the results from model. While crop growth modeling includes dynamic simulation of crop growth by numerical integration of constant processes with the aid of computers. According to Sinclair and its colleagues, this definition was given. So there are different types of models. Each country have its own models and they give its own names. For example, Australia use